There is a very, very important event coming up in just a few weeks' time. You all recall a while back, a few years ago, Prime Minister Harper standing in front of all of the members of Parliament and the nation and confessing the sins of Canada against the First Nations people and asking for forgiveness. Well, from then till now, there's not been any real formal ceremony of the granting of the forgiveness that the Prime Minister requested until now. And it really is the initiative of Kenny Blacksmith. He's been on this program before. He is the former Deputy Chief of the Cree Nation, or the Council of the Cree People in Quebec. He has taken the initiative to gather First Nations people from across the nation in Ottawa on June the 11th through the 13th for this very, very special Forgiven Catch the Dream. Is that right, Kenny?
That's right. Catch
the Dream event. It's going to be a sacred moment, really a solemn assembly.
It will be, it will be.
And then joining Kenny is David Mainse, the founder of Crossroads Christian Communications. And I want to hear from David on this too. But first of all, Kenny, remind us, how did this all come to pass?
Well, you know, I believe it began many, many years ago, particularly I think in 1995 when Elijah Harper began the Sacred Assembly, and he gathered many Canadians, First Nation and Inuit Métis people in Ottawa for the purpose of seeking reconciliation and healing. And that began the process, I believe, and he did an incredible job of bringing the first initiative. And then it just kept on going. You know, when Stephen Harper did apologize, many of our people were really touched. They were deeply moved by this apology, and many of our people wept across our nation, and they had longed for this apology, and now it's here. And before they could really appreciate what has just happened, the Prime Minister then asked for forgiveness. Yeah. And at that moment, I think, you know, God opened the door for a deeper healing for our people, and it came from the most unlikely source. The Prime Minister opening a door, yeah, called forgiveness. And so this is where we began to feel that we needed to work with our people once again to encourage them that there was yet another deeper level of healing that they could access. But it is now called forgiveness, and it's through that door of forgiveness that people would find a greater release from a negative past. So we're just kind of moving with what the Lord is doing. And I have so much to thank David. He is my father in the spirit. I don't see him as a white man. I see him as a father that has walked with me, encouraged me, and shown us, the rest of our nation, be it First Nation, Inuit, Métis, what it is to truly walk before God and to hold on to the promises of God.
Now, Kenny, you're speaking from your heart here, and I take it as from your heart. You have obviously a very high regard for David, to call him a father. David, you have proven over the years your commitment to the First Nations people. You have spent countless hours with them. In fact, on your current cross-Canada tour, you're spending as much time as you can on the reserves of Canada. You hope to be at the event in Ottawa. Why? You're born in Quebec. Why this heart of love for the First Nations people?
Well, I think it started also with Elijah Harper. Remember Elijah and his feather in the Manitoba legislature as a cabinet minister there, and then in Ottawa as a member of Parliament for Churchill riding. And if my phone rang at midnight or 1 a.m., I wouldn't say, "Who is it?" I'd just say, "Hello, Elijah," and we'd pray together. And of course, the CTV network did a made-for-television movie on Elijah that was released prime time. I hope they'll run it again. Wouldn't it be wonderful if they'd run it again in preparation, perhaps for this event coming to Ottawa? But when the Sacred Assembly began, and Prime Minister Jean Chrétien, a former Minister of Indian Affairs himself, was there at the Sacred Assembly in Ottawa in the convention center, the old Union Station downtown Ottawa that I remember from a boy when I lived in Ottawa, opening the whole procedures with leaders, chiefs and band members from all across Canada. There were Christians there, of course, but there were also people representing all other points of view, if you will, religiously and so on amongst the Native community. It was a very broad cross-section of Native people that responded to Elijah's invitation. But it was opened in prayer by a man who's a hero of mine in the gospel. He's with the Lord up there right now. Just a few days ago, he passed. Alan B. Harper, Elijah's dad, who pastored in Red Sucker Lake up in northern Manitoba for 50 years, a great church there. I've been up and preached summer camp meetings. They put up this great big tent, and people would come from surrounding communities and so on, many times by water or fly in for this event. And Alan B. Harper, when he passed, Elijah called me and he said, my father was not strong enough to raise his hand, to put his hands on our heads of all his children and our spouses and our grandchildren and great-grandchildren. But he said, I poured some oil into my father's hand. And he said, all of us came and we put our heads down on his hand. And he prayed. Of course, in fact, in Ottawa, I think we have a picture of Elijah and his dad, Alan B. Harper, and Jean Chrétien together on that occasion. But the Prime Minister was involved in that, and I think that's where the seed was. So God has been at work, and I've watched Kenny for years now. The time of reconciliation in Quebec City, Kenny played a major role in that. As we came together, the French and the English came together there for reconciliation. And some felt that that was an important event, to bind our hearts, even if politically we still have a lot of hurdles to cross. But to bind our hearts together, and then the Lord would reach back into the first peoples that God put on this part of His world, who worshiped the great Creator. It was almost a faith like Noah or Abraham that the first peoples had when they talk of the great Creator and His works. So I have been thrilled to have just a tiny little part of perhaps representing some of the non-natives in our country to say, I love you and I want to walk with you.